Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's have a look at what we've got this morning. Not substantially different from the weekend update. No real movement in anything of any consequence as yet this morning since Friday. But let's just go through it. So, daily chart of the ES, and if we are assuming the 4 is in here as the running flat, then I've got a 1, 2, 1, 2, and this should be the 3. If you look at the Hurst FLDs, we're breaking up through them. The clue was when we broke the first one down here, and we've pushed up strongly since. The only concern I have about just a straightforward continuation to the upside is the micro pattern in the NQ/NDX, where the second one came up too high, I say too high, higher than one would expect to be the one of the 3 of 3 inside here, but I'll get to that shortly. Just looking at the ES here this morning, though, off the low we saw last week, I'm still looking at this potentially as a diagonal. And if that's the case, then we've got an A, B, C in there for the 1, 2, A, B, and this is simply an extended third wave. At the moment, it's got to the 138.2 extension, so it's the length of the 1 projected off this 2, and it's starting to come off. If it pushes straight up here, 27.84 to the 1618 extension, or even higher, up as high as 28.04, then it suggests that this is not what we're seeing in the ES, and that somewhere in there there's 5 waves. We've got a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're going to get a 3, 4, 5, up to somewhere north of 28.20 or so, and all of that will be for a larger 1, and then we get the 2 back. So just be careful with this morning as to what we're going to do when we open. Are we going to see this pullback in a 4, which should come to at least 27.36, if not 27.27, then the 5th in the diagonal, then the 2, and then the takeoff? So exactly as per the SPX charts in the weekend update, or are we just going to grind on up? And I think today is going to be the day that we know that. I'm not really expecting it just to sit in a tight range here today. I'm expecting it to move one way or the other. Stocks are, the momentum stocks certainly are suggesting we're just going to push up. And ironically, the NASDAQ stocks, the technology stocks, are leading it. So the index I have the concerns in is the one where the stocks and pre-market, they're all up again. So just coming over and looking at the 3-minute chart in the ES. So it gave you a scalp short this morning for those of you that were up and about early and watching. But beyond that, it's just consolidating in a very tight range below this morning's high, and we're above Friday's high. So that would suggest we're going to go higher this morning, but let's just watch and see what the open gives. I do find that often Monday morning openings are a little trickier than some of the ones during the rest of the week. So let's just give it some time to tell us what it wants to do, and then we'll simply follow along and make some money out of it. Now, if I come over and look at the NDX, or the NQ rather, and this is the issue, it's this move here, okay? That came up to between the 1.0 and 123.6 extension based on the length of this move projected off this low here. And typically we don't expect to see that in a wave 1 of the next fractal up. We expect to see that as a C wave, or the wave 3 in a diagonal. Now, at the moment, I've got this labeled as a 1, 2, 3 with an extended 5th. This can easily be an A, B, C for the 1, 2, A, B, C, and we're getting a slightly larger diagonal here in the NASDAQ. So I'm going to be watching that count as well today. But initially, during the first part of the session, just work off the upper and lower blue lines on the day trading charts, and use the updated ones that I've just posted in the forum. And you can see at the moment, the NASDAQ, it's tapping up against the top one again, spiked through it, but hasn't broken it. And we got a volume spike into that. That's suggestive that we may come down again now. But initial support is going to be here and here. So we need to get those out of the way and this blue line out of the way if we're going to get a pullback today in the NQ stroke the Nasdaq. And the Dow Jones stroke YM, again, this is at the moment 1, 2, ABC for the 3, and again it's not quite got to the 123.6. It's now got past the 1.0, which it hadn't done on Friday, so I'm quite pleased to see that, and it's starting to come off. So watch 24.311 to 24.244, and then up to finish the one off in the Dow Jones, if that's what we're seeing, this diagonal up off the initial lows, then the pullback, and then off we go to the races in the US indices. But either way, generally speaking, bullish. There is that final set of resistance zones to overcome on the charts if you look at the site cash charts in the indices. But if this low is the operative low now, then we're going to blast through that. It's just a question of the pattern in the meantime before we do so. Okay, let's come over and look at CL this morning, and let's go to the 4-minute chart, sorry, the 4-hour chart even. And if this is an ABC to ABC for the 3 to just shy of this 123.6, then we should be in this 4 here. We've got an ABC down into Friday's low. It started to push up, and on Friday, if you recall, we said, look, on Sunday night, the thing to look for is a slight pop higher and then down. And this morning, that's exactly what we've seen in the CL. So there was your pop higher. That was last night's opening of the futures, and we revisited that. There was your day trade. Lovely initial early trade this morning that it's given you. We're now retracing that. This looks like an A, B, 1, 2, 3. I think this is a small 4. We're going to pop up one more time, 74.10 to 74.19, and then we should come down again here. What I can't quite decide with CL is, if I go to the hourly chart, sorry, is this move here up to this peak. Is this all of the B wave? It came shy of the fib. Or are we getting an A, B, C as a flat, and we actually come up and touch the fib, then we come down to these levels here, 69.44 to 70.51, to complete this 4, and then up to our target at around the 77.50 as the 77.70 area to complete the larger degree 3. I think this is more likely that the B is not quite in yet, and we push down. If we take out last night's high, then watch that 74.54 area above us to complete the B, and then down again and up. But again, the comments from the weekend video are still applicable, in that having just about got to the 123.6, we've not come anywhere near this 1, and we've just about held on to this 764. That's these bottom up fibs, which is the length of this move projected up off here. Then if we just push up to beyond the last week's high, then we can go all the way to 78.30, then a 4, then a 5, and we're going much higher to complete this 3 before we go down. We'll go into the mid-80s, so be warned. But not the main expectation at the moment. Nothing broken in the count we're following, and you should already have had one decent trade to start your week off the right way out of CL, and one decent trade to start or small trade to start your week off the right way in ES this morning as well. Meanwhile, day trading, so we need to see CL now stay below this fib cluster here, with the caveat it can go to 74.19 and then come down and take out today's lower blue line, then watch 72.95 to 72.64, which are the 618 retrace and the 764 retrace of this A wave up for this B, and then up again to the target in the hourly chart. Okay, let's then look at, let's do GC next this morning, shall we, since it's being a bit of a bugger. I still think that this is likely the 4 here, and while we're below this, which is 1276.3, and certainly this 1 here, over here, then I'm still looking down. There's the line that's vital. Take that out, and any immediate 1-2-1-2 with a stick save here for the 2 is off the table. So it still hasn't revealed its actual intention to us in GC at the moment. If it's going to just take off, then what we should have is 5 up to here for a 1-2-1-2-3-4-5, pull back slightly, and then this thing should just lift off, and you should see that today, if that's what we're going to get. Not really what I'm expecting, but it is absolutely possible. GC is the one that's been the warning that says it's unlikely. The GDX and silver, I can make a more honest argument to suggest that we might be heading up rather than down in those. But I'm just wanting to sit and let it tell me before I do anything in terms of risking money on any of these patterns in the metals and miners at the moment. Day trading, so it's, as you can see, been going up all morning, and now we've double topped here and into the blue line and starting to come off. We need to take out 1254 today, and then that 1236 or 38 to 36 area if the count that I have as the main count is correct in GC. Okay, natural gas. Again, I'm looking for this drop down to the 1618 extension here for this 3. I think we've got the 3 of 3 in at the 123.6. This is a small 4. Looking for the 3, 4, 5. I've got it at the 2.0. Typically, natural gas is going to come down to one of these lower fibs. That would finish with a 5-wave move up off the recent high for the 1 of the bigger C wave down, then up. Then we get the more serious move to the downside. So again, just no change from the weekend update and the path we've been following for a while now in natural gas. Here it is on, you can see just how messy this thing's got on ever since here. It's been a bloody mess, quite frankly, but it's been hitting the fibs. So I'm looking for it to continue to do so. There's the 1618. I want to see it maintain below this 764 extension at 28.95 at all times until we complete this wave 1 here now in natural gas. So take that out, and then it's morphing into something else, which could be a 1, 2, 3, 4 for a higher 4, 5 as a diagonal down for the 1, and then up. Okay, and that wouldn't surprise me, having seen this price action recently over the last week or so in natural gas. Day trading wise, sorry, again, it gave you an entry this morning if you wanted it up here, and certainly when it came back through the orange line, came down, spiked below the orange line on a high volume and reversed, which was your exit signal. So 1 scalp if you were watching it early on this morning. Otherwise, just let it tell you what it wants to do next. Watch this level up here. Ideally, we turn down before we get there now in natural gas this morning again. Okay, let's come over and look at the European indices next. So German DAX has pushed up slightly higher, hasn't quite hit the 1618 extension for what would be this one here. And then I'm still looking ideally for a pullback in the 2 in the German DAX. The alternative is that we've got a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're just going to take off, but it's not really doing that, is it? So I'm looking for a pullback in this 2. I'm long the DAX from here at 12,132, and I've got the stop at 12,100 for the swing trade still in the German DAX. Not making any adjustments to that positioning, just going to be patient and let it play out. 30-point risk for 3,500 points of potential profit. You've got to take those odds all day long. Now, FTSE, it just continues in its usual gorp. We're just about at this 764 here, 76.67. Don't really want to see it above there before we come down further in this C wave here, and definitely don't want to see it above 77.06 if we're going to get this. The other possibility is we've had a shallow 2 in here, and we're just going to take off. But it's, as per usual with the FTSE, doing neither one thing nor the other. So my strong suggestion, if you want to trade a European index, trade the DAX. Certainly for the swings, it behaves itself, and the FTSE quite simply doesn't. It's about as reliable as our political parties at the moment in this country. Okay, so let's have a look at the currencies this morning. So dollar, just looking for this to come a bit lower in this A wave, and as always with A waves, it can come, we're out of the 38.2 back now. I'm looking for it to come a bit deeper to match up with the euro, then a B, then a C, and all of that would be for, where am I, daily? For this B wave here that I'm looking for so I'm looking for an A, B, C. So looking for this move down to 90.97 to 89.93, and I think this is just part of the initial A wave. The other possibility in the dollar is that we've got a 1, 2, we're going to get a 3, 4, 5 for a deeper A wave, then a B, C. Not trading this at the moment. I am long the euro though from lower levels, which is why we're watching this thing, and the euro pushing up again slightly this morning, but nothing that you could buy a Rolls Royce with if you're long, unfortunately. I think we're in the early stages of this wave 2 here, and that we've got a 1, 2, and we're in the 3. We need a 4, 5. That will give us an A. Then we get the B, C, up to the 618 to 764 back. Then I'm looking to get short again for the bigger move to the downside in the euro. So again, just playing out according to expectations at the moment and the weekend update. And there we are, pushing up towards where I've got this ideal level for the A wave at 118.65. So I'm looking for that to come up and hit this 38.2 here, and then B, C, and we're long from here in the euro as of a week or so ago now. Cable this morning, again pushing higher, which is what we expected. If I come to the 240-minute chart, again, I think the one's in. So we've got off the top of the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm looking for is simply an A, B, C. I'm not long this one. Levels are all on the chart over the last week or so for any of you who wanted to get long. I'm looking up here to the 618 to 764, 786 cluster, and then I'm going to short this, and I'm going to take a fairly large position short, or I'm going to build a large position short in this. It's got a lot further down to go in cable once we've got the correction out the way. US dollar, Japanese yen is still mucking around up here. I'm looking for this drop in the rest of this C of 2. So I think we've got one of this larger C wave up in place, then an A, B. I'm looking for this down to at least 107.96, and ideally one of these lower fibs down here before we get the more accelerated move or momentum move to the upside in US dollar, Japanese yen. I don't have a position. I did ideally want to get short for this, but I failed to do so. So I'm just going to be patient and wait for the long entry now in this pair. And the Australian dollar, I think we have to accept it's most likely that this 4 is in here, and that we've got a 1, 2, and we're starting on the 3. We've just got past the 1.0 extension, which is the length of this projected off here. What we want to see is 123.6, hold the 1.0, 1618, 2.0, then we'll get a 2, and then we can, or a B, and then we can look at a long. It just didn't give us the setup down here, and after having had a couple of attempts over here and not knocked out, I'm not going to muck with it until it gives me a decent setup. So just watching it at the moment, expecting higher, and let's go to the daily chart. So I think, oops, excuse me, that this 4 here is in here, and that we're in the early stages of this move up. But this is going to be, it's a diagonal, so we're going to get an A, B, C, and we're going to need to wait for the A in and the B back now to get the trade to the long side in this pair to be safe with it. If you want to jump in now, then you're going to have to give it the appropriate stop, I'm afraid, which should be at least to the second low that we've seen. Not something I'm particularly interested in doing. So Bitcoin is still just doing BA nothing. I think we're in the 4 of a diagonal before we get the final fifth down, but you can see that since we got that sharp intraday spike and reversal the other week here, we've just effectively gone sideways with a slight upward slant in Bitcoin. And I think what that is this A wave. I think inside here somewhere there was a 1, 2, this was a 4. Should get an A, then the B, C to finish this 4. And just showing you on the daily chart, then what you've got is an A, B, we're looking for this C down, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a diagonal pattern down into our target region is what I'm looking for in Bitcoin. Okay, just want to pop up some of the momentum stocks again. So starting with the two that we've got options in now, if you look pre-market, you'll find that the Google options are up over 50% since we took them, and the Netflix over 70%. The aim of the system we're using with these pre-market momentum, pre-earnings momentum plays is to get you 50%. You've got that in both these now. Don't want to be brutal, but you're kind of on your own to manage your profits. The way I'm going to do it is to keep the hourly and 15-minute charts up with the squeeze and momentum indicators, and look for any signs that the thing may be reversing or looking for a deep pullback, in which case I'll exit. Until then, I'm going to stay long in these. This is the chart of Google at the moment, and these were the breakout levels for the next leg up. As you can see, we pushed over them. This is the pre-market activity this morning, and you can see it's going to gap up on the open. Ideally, I'd like to see it back over 1200 before earnings, and if so, that is going to give us an absolutely monstrous trade in those options that we took the other day, and that's exactly what we want. Netflix, same thing. So again, you can see here's the breakout level we were looking for. There was the gap up, and off it's going. At the moment, momentum still looking strong on all time frames, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm looking for the daily to turn back up and to just keep propelling this forward. What you might consider doing is, once you've got 100% gain in these, which I suspect you're going to get this week, take half off, and that way your capital is completely safe, and you can just relax and see what it gives you. But don't give it up. Just watch this momentum stuff here on these smaller time frames. So that's the 4 hour, this is the hourly, and then add the 15-minute chart to that. And as it starts to go dark blue and stay there for more than a couple of bars, you might want to just take the profits. You can always go jump back in again. Both of them have got a bit further to run before earnings and what have you. Then the other stock that was on the site charts, I just stayed long this stock. I didn't come out, and it's up at 204 now. The buy level on Friday was a break back over 200, but we got that, and it's pushing up again still. I didn't take that trade because I was already in it from down near the 160 area or whatever that we took Facebook in terms of what I'm charting in the service. As you know, I didn't personally take this trade on my own account, which I think I did make clear at the time. Other stocks of interest at the moment, AAOI, that's still a buy if you want it. It hasn't taken its level out. Looks like it's going to. We've got the hourly squeeze building up. We've got a daily squeeze building up. I'm long this stock from way back, but I'm looking to add on a break over 48 in this stock. Let's go back to the other ones. So all of the ones from Friday are still applicable and still pushing forward. If you took them, I would just put your stops up to your entries in those from Friday. The other one that's looking like it wants to break out now is Lululemon, and the buy on that, it's just exceeded it in pre-market, but it's not too late. It's at 129. The buy was at 128.5, and that looks like it's going to break out. And again, you've got a 4 hour squeeze. Whoops, excuse me. 4 hour squeeze that's just firing long. You've had an hourly squeeze that's built up to that to bring that into play, and we've got a daily squeeze building up that looks like it's going to fire long as well. That should give us several weeks of upside in this stock. Again, if they're just momentum plays, buy them, get your stops to entry early, and look to make a decent return on your money over a few weeks. That's all. And you can use options. If you're going to use options, use at least Delta 50, date them out at least 2 to 3 weeks. And use Delta 70 if you want to, but be aware that they'll be very sensitive to any pullbacks that you experience if you get one of those early after buying. Okay, that's it from me pre-market. Let's see what the day brings once the market opens.